So, one thing that people just never do, and I don't know why, is whenever there's an update, they do not look at the changelog. Please, people do this, because then you'll actually know what's going on in the game, you'll know exactly what's been done. But they've added Weather 2.0, reward and ghost adjustments, and new settings and more, which I've adjusted some of the settings and kind of tested around. However, there's a reward adjustment that they made that kind of sucks, and you'll see that very, very soon. Also, give me 1 second. Yeah, thought that was a little dim. Alright. With all the recent paranormal, or welcome back, we've got an update for you. With all the paranormal interference, the weather around certain locations has become more hazardous and intense. Ghosts have been haunting locations longer and longer each night, with some disappearing just before the sun comes up. Will you brave these new conditions? With this update, hosts small features, improvements, and options. Additionally, there will be another larger update in the near future. 8.1, more features and surprises. And I should say that developers have already said, like, yeah, this is going to be the final update, but then after every update, like every update after this, I should say final update of the year, but every other update after this is like full steam ahead on content. But this is kind of a, right now we're kind of in the process of updating and kind of reworking the stuff that's already in the game before they add more stuff. So that's kind of what they're doing now. That's what this update was. So holiday of 2022, there is actually an achievement I say. So it kind of tells you, you get a trophy, an exclusive Holiday 22, I should say, ID card, and badge, which is what we're going to be attempting to do. Find more information by clicking the holiday sticker on the main menu. I've already kind of done that. But reward changes. This is where it gets real shitty. Alright, so just bear with me here. So with the addition of custom difficulty, we've seen so many exciting, unique, challenging games being created, but we'd like to redact what the purpose of custom games is. And there are several reasons why. We like custom difficulty to be primarily used for fun and interesting games with unique twists similar to other games with custom mode without the worry of how much you're getting out of it. Really? No. It's very difficult to balance each game's options rewards as having a corresponding and fair rewards multiplayer. Because of this, it's incredibly quick to create games that are potentially much easier or faster than others than their difficulty counterparts, but give the same, even more rewards, which makes the game modes, redundant. Default modes in particular. With our analytics and player data, we can see that the large majority of players still play intermediate and professional. That would be me. I don't really care for Nightmare. I can do it, but I just like being able to hone in on all of my skills on professional mode. Having a set reward per custom option makes the game very fragile and limits what we can change by default difficulties or any future difficulties we'd like to add into the game. Now, note that this right here is kind of signaling that they are planning to add other difficulties in the future. So keep that in mind. Lastly, with the large upcoming changes of Progression 2.0, we'd like experiences and money to be gained fairly for every player to avoid any cheesy tactics or rewards you can. I mean, fair enough. But because of the following reasons, we're making the following changes to custom rewards. Custom difficulties will now have an 80% reduction applied to reward multiplier. This makes custom difficulty useless. Nobody likes this. Because get this, if you're doing like an actual challenge, like a no evidence, which is difficult, or a zero sanity, extremely difficult, you're only going to get 80% of it? Really? Only 80%? No. Because then where's the encouragement to play custom difficulty, right? Like, the only reason you're going to do it is to challenge yourself. But even then, you're going to be making less than if you were literally just to play on amateur difficulty, right? There is no point to go to it. In fact, at that point, you might as well play on amateur difficulty. So, it's just such a kick in the shorts. We know this is a huge change, but this should separate custom games into a challenge and fun mode and keep the default difficulties as the main route for character progression. Again, understandable, but 80%, why not? Like, I think 50 would have been a lot better. I think 50 is a lot better. And, like, at the very least, maybe add some presets that will pay you more if you do it. Like I said, no sanity, no evidence, stuff like that. That would be, like, add a preset like that that will give you even more. Hello, Psycho. Right now we're just kind of going over the changes before we begin. Like, and one of the things I was saying is that one of the things they should have done is rather than make it 80, it should have been 50. And then for actual challenges, like a no evidence or like a zero sanity, that could be like a preset that would pay you more. I feel like that would have been a better route to go. That way, if you want to do it, you're not getting screwed over. I feel like that would have been a lot better to actually do. Alright. So, in the second part of this major update, coming soon TM, we'll be adding something special for those wanting a regular, harder challenge, the Nightmare, and something special. Again, that's just kind of, you know, note for current future challenges, like the Apocalypse Challenge will still be, like, I feel like, you know, that's kind of obvious. Alright. To compensate for the above changes, we've added some additional rewards for playing the game well in the default difficulties, which will reward players who have the sharpest eye for ghost identification. I know InSim kind of went over some of this. So, we'll also be changing the rewards to secondary objectives to encourage players to complete the primary objective instead of ignoring the secondary ones, essentially. But added payments paid to the journal, investigation bonus. So basically, if you get a perfect game, all 3 or I guess if you get the ghost correctly, you get a bonus. And then I know there's a perfect game bonus, which is basically you get the bone, get all 3-star photos, and complete every objective, meaning secondary as well as a primary objective. You'll get a perfect game bonus. You know, investigation bonuses are affected by the difficulty multiplier. Makes sense. So ghost types. This is where some of it gets a little bit spicy. So they went ahead and updated some ghosts that needed an update. A lot of them did get some buffs. So, and one of them, I mean, this one got a huge nerf. But let's start with the Ryu. So, hunting ghost models flickers are now synced across all players. This is why I had so many problems trying to get a photo of a ghost, and why other people had problems getting photos of a ghost. When hunting, ghosts now affect the lights in the same range as equipment if on the same floor. Again, that makes so much more sense. I would have a ghost all the way upstairs in the back, and then the lights would be so dim or just flickering, which made absolutely no sense. So now they made it to where the lights are affected for 10 meters, the Ryu being 15 meter. Alright? Rates have been adjusted to match their journal and description better. Rates will never step in a salt pile. And apparently this also means that if you see an objective that says get a ghost to walk through salt, you can immediately rule out that it is not a rate. Or you can rule out, yeah, you can rule out that it's not a rate. So that is something that is now going to be a thing. And they've already updated the journal weakness as well. Obakis now have to shapeshift. So, Psycho, I know you've been getting Obakes a lot. Well, now it's super duper easy to see an Obake. So during a hunt, Obakis have a 6.66% chance. Don't know if that was on purpose. Each time it flickers the shapeshift into a different ghost form. They will then return back to their original form. And it's guaranteed to happen once per hunt. How about that? Yurei is still stuck. Yeah, they did make a change. I don't think it's necessarily that bad. I'll explain why. The Revenant is now actually scary again. It is now probably the scariest and probably the strongest ghost in the game. So, what they've changed about the ghost is instead of slowing down after losing sight, which is kind of what made it not so bad, they will keep their increased speed until they reach your last known position, and rather than instantly slowing down, stuff love. Alright, hang on, give me 1 sec. Kind of have him here on the ground. Let me get your stuff love. Guess who's back? Welcome back. Oh, there's a stuff love. Alright. So as I was saying, okay. So, and instead of just instantly slowing down, now what happens is they will gradually slow down. You know what? I'm just gonna be hugging these the entire time while I read for you. I know you're gonna keep redeeming it. Alright, Gorios have a history of, you know, disobeying their roaming changes. There was a bug in the game that actually caused them to roam way more and further and change their rooms more. Then they fixed it, and then it looks like what they did now was they said, yeah, now they can no longer long distance roam or change their favorite room. again, makes sense for what the Goryo is. So that's actually a great change. And Hantu's secret ability has been adjusted. Their visual, I should say, has been adjusted. Hantu's Cold Breath will now play in any room during hunts if a breaker is off. And Hantu's Cold Breath visuals have been improved. Yurei can no longer use her ability when there is no door in its current room. This does kind of make sense because there were times where I had a Yurei and I was in the room the entire time, never saw its special ability, but then I went downstairs to go turn the breaker on again because it turned it off. And then I saw the ability there. It's like, well, why would it do an ability all the way in like, because let's be real, if you're trying to figure out what the ghost is, or if you're trying to get photos or complete objectives, usually it involves being near the ghost, in particular in the ghost room. So why would I want to see it do its special ability all the way across the map when it should be nearby the ghost? It just makes more sense. So I think that's actually more of a positive change than a negative change. So some new things that they've done. The rendering pipeline has been updated. Basically just spreading some load to the GPU, increasing CPU. That's really helpful for me because I have a shitty processor. And I have noticed a slight increase, especially on the campsite map for performance. Fog will now only be where it makes sense and receive a visual overhaul. I've noticed that. The game also does look a lot better. Locations will start at the same temperature as clear weather, 8 to 15 degrees Celsius. Oh, you stream too. I should play Choo Choo Charles Evil. I might play one of those games. But for now, I'm gonna be playing Phasmo for a bit, because of the update. Sunrise weather has been added. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen other YouTubers play with it, and it's super duper nice. Alright, locations will start, with sunrise weather to 10 to 18 degrees Celsius. Weather effects have been completely recreated from the ground up. Rain and snow received a large performance increase and improved visuals. Super duper nice. New graphics features have been added. I've already seen this. This makes the game look pretty decent. Screen space ambient occlusion, have that enabled. Have this enabled. I have this enabled. I do not use anti-aliasing. That completely drains my computer's performance too much. You can now place crucifixes. When they mean by placing it, they'll actually have a they'll have like a bubble or a range of where the crucifix will work. Now with the demon, I don't know if they'll change it to where if a demon, it'll show it in a larger space, because a demon has a 5-meter working space, but every other ghost I believe is either 2. I think it's 3 meters. So I wonder if they will end up changing that, or at least showing it if it's a demon. I don't know. Ranger is bigger than I thought. Absolutely. You can, okay, all post-processing effects have been adjusted and improved. Nice. Added the option for voice recognition. Text option for voice recognition. This will show UI. So now if you don't have a mic, you can actually still play the game. And if you swap to a new PC or reinstall Windows, you will now revert to your personal cloud backup. I mean, okay. Smudge stick burns. I've again seen this on YouTube. It does look a lot better. Haunted mirror effects have visibly been improved. Improved glow stick models and effects. Transparent objects and effects will now receive shadows from lights. I mean, good. Resetting your save file will now wipe your cloud backup. I mean, seems about right. Improved performance on campsite maps. I've actually noticed that. I haven't tried it while streaming yet, but I have noticed that on campsite maps, it has definitely ran a lot better. Radios are now interactable when the breaker is off, which again makes sense. Fingerprints have been moved on willow doors to be more consistently placed. Yeah, it makes sense. All players will now be further than 5 meters from the Ouija board. All players, yeah, so there's no more you can turn on a board and then run away. Everyone has to be 5 meters away, which again makes more sense. It avoids a little bit of a griefing. Can you please play something now? This is really boring. Now I'm gonna once I get through this, we'll play. Alright. All players. The Ouija board, or we already got that. Sandy pills will no longer disappear when using them. Instead, they now drop on the floor and are no longer usable. Why? I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Improved all candle wax effects when lit. Improving hiding spots in Sunny Meadow, one by the restricted area. So CJ, the main, the leading artist of Phasmophobia, had a couple of problems with these hiding spots, and he realized they had to be fixed. Now, small 10th cloth is now Why did they do that? I don't know. That's a weird little thing that they did. And then once we get over it, there's not many fixes. This is all we have left. But we're just reading through this, and then after this, we will begin the game. So a couple fixes. Average standing objective will now complete at the same time for all players. I have noticed it was a little inconsistent. Bone will no longer spawn inside objects. Thank you, because the amount of times I have seen bones like behind or inside things, and it's like not knowing if they count, and sometimes they don't even count. So it's good that they fixed that. Tripods no longer count as electronic equipment after removing a camcorder. Yeah, that makes sense. Willow windows are now the correct way around. I never even noticed that. Weekly challenge timer will now reset at the same time as the challenge themselves. Nice. Complete daily challenges. Weekly challenge will now only trigger when a daily challenge completes instead of when it progresses. That's good. You can no longer scroll to another item while placing something. I never knew that was a thing. Ghost room will now show on the board in the truck in training. So imagine during training you couldn't even figure out where the ghost is. It would be almost impossible to figure out. Diogen Spiral Box will now work if you're not crouched. That's good. Morgue door VR grab point is now in the correct position. Makes sense. Hitting the crouch button, the physically crouching in VR no longer pushes you enough to a floor that the ghost cannot kill you. Good. Computer monitors in prison no longer turn off when the power is off. I mean, it doesn't really make much sense, but okay. Ghost repelled stat will now count when you are not the host. That's good. Sunny Meadows, female hallway light switch will no longer toggle over utility room's light. Good. Journal on and off buttons are much clearer to understand. Good. EULA accept button no longer be clickable until you scroll to the bottom. Doesn't really affect me. I've already accepted the EULA. The objective move stat will now correctly count poltergeist throws. That's good. The inventory will no longer break if you grab one or more item before joining a game. So I've noticed that sometimes if you grab something and then someone else grabs it, I think that's what they're talking about. Where if you grab more than... Or, no, I don't think that's what it's talking about. But I've never seen it. Okay, well anyways, room reflections will now be more accurate after turning a light on and off quickly. I mean, good. Russian Ukraine fonts will no longer have gray boxes around most characters, and VR Death Room's positions are now correct. Alright, that is the boring stuff out of the way. Let's get into actual game capture.